in Pajamas. Alright, you guys, today we're going to talk about symbiotic relationships. Now, there are 3 types of symbiotic relationships. Now, before we get onto that, let's remind ourselves what a symbiotic relationship is. It is a close relationship between 2 organisms where at least one benefits. Now, as I said, there are 3 kinds. There's mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism. All of these show a close relationship between 2 organisms where one of them benefits. What occurs with the other organism is what defines each of these. So what is it that makes it mutualistic versus commensalistic versus parasitic? So it's all about what happens with the second organism. All right, well, let's go ahead and start looking at these. In number 1, in mutualism, we have both organisms benefit. Both benefits. An example of this is, let's see. There is a mutualistic relationship between an alligator or a crocodile, I'll be honest, I can't remember which, and a little birdie. Now, what occurs is this alligator crocodile, I'm just going to say alligator, this alligator is going to come up, actually, I think it's a crocodile. The crocodile is going to come up onto land. It's just going to sit there with its mouth open. And when it's sitting there with its mouth open, this particular little bird is going to sweep down and volunteer to enter the crocodile's mouth. Now, the crocodile is never going to eat this bird. Never. All the different times that it just lays there with its mouth open and the bird comes in, it's never once going to close its mouth on it. And the reason for that is because of this mutualistic relationship that they have. The bird, well, let's start with the crocodile. The reason why the bird goes into the crocodile's mouth is to kind of pick at all the mites and stuff that's stuck in between the crocodile's teeth. So mites, parasites, there's nasty things that are stuck in between the teeth that could cause an infection in the crocodile's mouth. The bird's going to pick all that stuff out and eat it. It's kind of like a little dentist bird. So it's going to pull out all those little things and eat them. Now, when it does that, it gets food. So the crocodile gets a dental visit. It gets its teeth cleaned. It gets its mouth cleaned. And the bird gets food. Not only that, the bird gets protection. Because nobody is going to go and try and get that bird while it's sitting in the open mouth of a crocodile. So they both benefit. The crocodile gets a cleaned mouth, and the bird gets food and protection. It is a nice little relationship where they both get something good. So that is mutualism. Commensalism is where one organism benefits and the other does not benefit or harmed or gets harmed. So one organism gets the benefit, the other organism, it doesn't get anything out of it. It doesn't get anything good, but it also doesn't get anything bad out of it. So for instance, there's our little whale. And on the underside of the whale, it's very common for barnacles to attach and just start growing there. They make their home on the underside of the whale. Now, barnacles are these marine invertebrates. They're in the same group as like mussels and clams. And what happens is the larva is free swimming. And then the larva will attach to a substrate, like a rock or something, and it'll grow there into its adult form. Once it attaches there, it will never move from that spot. So the larva needs to attach to a place where there is a lot of water flow. The reason for that being is barnacles are filter feeders. So as the water moves through them, they pick out all the little nummy things flowing in them and eat those. But that only works if there's good water flow. So sometimes the larva will attach to the underside of a whale because what does a whale do? It swims. And as the whale swims, it means that there's going to be a lot of water flowing across the barnacles, and that means it's going to have access to a lot of food. All those little micro things that are floating in the water, it's going to get those. It's going to eat them. So the barnacles get a benefit. They have an all-you-can-eat buffet for the rest of their lives. The whale doesn't get anything out of this. The barnacles don't help the whale get food for itself. They don't help the whale to survive, but they also don't hurt the whale or make it more difficult for it to swim. They don't have any effect on the whale. Not a good effect, but also not a bad effect. So the whale's just like, whatevs. Doesn't hurt me, doesn't help me, I don't really care. So that's commensalism, when one organism benefits and the other gets nothing. Nothing good, but also nothing bad out of the relationship. And that brings us to our last one, parasitism. This is where one organism benefits and the other is harmed. So as we said, an example of this could be a doggy There's our cute little doggy. And if you were to look in its fur, you would see a tick. Now the tick attaches to the dog's skin, so it goes through the fur, finds the skin, and it actually sticks its head inside the skin. And it'll just stay there. The reason why it'll just stay there is because it gets all the nutrients it needs to survive from the blood of the dog. Because remember, dogs are mammals like us. They eat food, they digest the food, then the food gets, the nutrients from the food get sent to the circulatory system so they can move all around the body. And when the circulatory system, that's where the blood is, and the tick now has access to the circulatory system and all the nutrients in it. So the tick gets a benefit. It gets food. The dog, though, is harmed by this because it's not uncommon for ticks to have diseases such as Lyme disease. Lyme disease is a particular illness that is transmitted by ticks. So the dog gets bit by the tick, and the tick could actually transmit Lyme disease, making the dog very sick and potentially even killing the dog. Now, it's not very smart for parasites to kill their host. However, it's not like they're really thinking, maybe I shouldn't transmit this disease because then I will lose my food source. What it's more so thinking about is food, survive, make other ticks, food. So it's not about, thinking things through. It's more so about just surviving. So the tick benefits by getting access to nutrients. The dog gets harmed because it can get a disease from the tick. So that is the 3 examples of symbiotic relationships. Mutualism, both organisms benefit. Commensalism, one organism benefits, the other gets nothing good or bad in return. And parasitism, one benefits and the other is harmed. Alright, so I hope that helps you guys out, and I will talk to you guys next time. Alright, bye-bye.